Instead of going to the Capitol to attack Illinois' laws, or even the governor's mansion, which is right behind me here, she instead went to the house where Emma Schaefer was killed on the other side of town. Her mother not only didn't approve of her using her name, she actively protested outside of the governor's mansion today against Noam's trip. It shows us in clear detail what happened in those crucial minutes between when deputies arrived at Massey's home and leading up to when Grayson shot her. And it verifies what court documents have already told us, that this was all over a pot of water. Massey's father, James Wilburn, is calling on Sangamon County Sheriff Jack Campbell to step down.
I'm calling for the sheriff's resignation because I think it's a culture.
He and he alone is responsible.
So you don't believe that just the fact that he was given a badge and a gun from this department makes yourself culpable in a way?
Absolutely not.
As somebody who, lives out of state, who may not be familiar with all the intricacies of the Safety Act in that way, how surprised were you to know that that could just happen?
It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable.
That's right. Because this was caused by a chemical spill, there are not that many physical reminders of this tragic incident, but there are still plenty of emotional scars for the people that fled the town that night. Jerry Rundy will never forget seeing his hometown deserted.
I hope I never have to see anything like that again.
But experts in the industry say that the money that the state is keeping from these cuts to hours actually outweighs the amount of money that they put towards this salary increase. The trial for former House Speaker Michael Madigan is officially over, and the jury, after months of hearing the cases laid out by both the prosecutors and the defense, found him guilty. Federal actions are going to have effects here in Illinois, so why shouldn't it be talked about in this building?
Well, if indeed they are the true actions that are going to be happening, I think right now it's just like a lot of conversations. And
how do you make sure that that is translated correctly to a very broad, very diverse caucus that you have that has a lot of ideas?
Well, I think we have to continue to be very inclusive.
I am not exaggerating when I say this came down to literal seconds, but with a train speeding down the tracks, Stewart was able to get the man and himself to safety. That's right. Allman says he has no idea how deep this rabbit hole goes yet. When he visits one family, he finds out that they have the wrong ashes. Then he goes to the family of that person, those ashes, and finds out that they have the wrong ashes as well. Allman said it's too early in the investigation to say how many people were impacted or whether this is being done intentionally. But he said one thing is for sure: everything is on the table. The lawyers representing the Slovers say that they have DNA evidence that proves that the Slovers are innocent, and they say it came from tests that weren't available to investigators at the time of the trial. Millen was only 7 years old when his brother's name was added to this list of ISP troopers that have died in the line of duty. So the memories of Brian were few and far between, but he learned plenty about his brother from others that called him family.
111, what's the address for your emergency?
2868 South Hoover Avenue.
What's going on there?
I keep hearing stuff on the outside of my house, and it sounds like somebody was banging on the side of my house. I don't know. Could y'all come and see?
That's Sonia Massey calling for help. New dispatch logs obtained by WCIA tell the story of why she called deputies to begin with and the chaos that ensued after she was shot.
Hi, is it Sonia?
Yeah, I got the sheriff's department here, but I was calling for help from y'all.
From there, the body camera footage released on Monday shows what happens next. 2 Sangamon County Sheriff's deputies respond to Massey's home within minutes. Deputy Sean Grayson shoots Massey in the face after she moves a pot of hot water from the stove.
I'll see you when I get
You better not. I swear to God, I'll shoot your face.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Drop the pot! Drop the pot!
Then hear Grayson and the other deputy yell shots fired.
Shots fired! Shots fired!
The dispatch logs show more.
Headshot wounded a female. Headshot wounded a female. 1078.
Grayson asks if there is a history of Massey being a, quote, 1096.
80 call history for being 1096.
He's asking if she's been a call involving mental health issues before. After that, a dispatcher can be heard asking to confirm if the gunshot was self-inflicted, but you can't make out the answer from deputies.
Just confirm self-inflicted.
But the confusion doesn't stop there. A different member of Sangamon County Dispatch calls state police.
We don't actually know what happened. He just screamed shots fired. Somebody heard, one of the dispatchers heard the gunshot, said a female shot in the head, but we don't know if she shot herself or a deputy shot her.
Or what, yeah.
But then she gets new information.
They're now saying self-inflicted.
Dispatchers continued to struggle to get information about what happened. A call between dispatchers and a supervisor who hadn't been in the building all night shows they still did not know the circumstances of the shooting 3 hours after Massey died at the hospital.
So just had what, maybe an officer-involved shooting?
Okay.
We don't have any info, and nobody will tell us, which is really fun.
After Grayson shot Massey, he can be seen on body camera footage offering up what he said happened to deputies in the area.
You know, what else do we do? I'm not taking hot boiling water to face. I think she set it up on purpose. I have a choice.
Members of Massey's family were not exempt from the chaos that night. Jimmy Crawford Jr., the father of one of Massey's children, said he views it as an attempted cover-up by deputies.
How do you get confused with you saying I shot her or she shot herself? To me, that's a cover-up from the get-go.
Crawford arrived at the scene that night. He said officers didn't tell him that it was a deputy-involved shooting.
When I got to the scene, the officer notified me that it was under investigation, and we knew that she had problems with her neighbor. Not once was I told that the officer did it.
Massey's son, Malachi Hill, learned his mother was shot from St. John's Hospital and not the police.
They would never tell me who shot my mom, though.
And it all became one more reason that Massey's father, James Wilburn, is calling on Sangamon County Sheriff Jack Campbell to step down.
I'm calling for the sheriff's resignation because I think it's a culture to treat this family this bad, to call these lies. If it were not for that camera footage, we as a people, they would have lied, and they'd have lied their way right out of this.
Christy Nome was joined by several families who either lost loved ones in crimes involving non-citizens or to drug overdoses. But the majority of remarks in Springfield were focused on the story of a person whose family was not there.
Just a couple of houses away from here, Emma Schaefer was brutally stabbed and murdered by an illegal alien.
Emma Schaefer was killed in her home 2 years ago, right behind where Nome spoke. Her ex-boyfriend, Gabriel Calixto, is accused of the crime. Her death rocked the capital city. She was a pillar of the activist community, organizing for several major causes in town, including immigrant rights. Protesters say she would have been on the front lines, opposing Nome's rhetoric.
Would have been the loudest person there. She would have been a person that organized many different people of different backgrounds, ages, beliefs to all come and support this.
Not only did her family not give consent to Nome's office to use their daughter's story, her mother carried on Emma's mission the best way she knew how. She joined protesters across town, rebuking the rhetoric around immigration from Nome and the Trump administration. In a statement, her mother begged Nome to stop, saying, quote, "To see her used by Secretary Nome and others to advance a cruel and heartless political agenda is not just deeply painful to us, it is an insult to her memory." This was Nome's response to my question if she even tried to get the family's consent.
We have been reaching out to them and weren't able to get a response yet, but we have been reaching out to them.
Were you aware that Emma Schaefer's family is across town at the protest against this appearance and against this?
No, I wasn't aware of that. Is that her immediate family?
Yes.
Yeah.
Her mother.
Yes. Thank you. Did you have a question?
Nome then went on to speculate about Schaefer's case.
She lost her life to an illegal alien that's still out at large, probably in this state. We can't confirm that.
What I did confirm, Springfield police said Wednesday they have no reason to believe Calixto is even in the country, let alone in Illinois. As for her other claims,
the local law enforcement and the state law enforcement are barred by state law with the support of Governor Pritzker from sharing any information with our ICE officers or HSI officers.
This is not true. The U.S. Marshals have actively been involved with this case from the get-go, and the Trust Act does not prevent local law enforcement from working with the feds on any case involving a criminal warrant. Joining Nome was the Illinois Senate Republican leadership team, including Minority Leader John Curran and Senator Steve McClure, who represents a large part of Sangamon County. Curran said he was not aware of the significance of the location for Nome's news conference until afterward.
I would say highlighting a victim of crime, a murder victim of crime, whose life work
was centered around the immigrant community, regardless of whether someone was here legally or illegally, was a decision that should not have been made.
That's right. This morning, Rebecca Zillian and her mother found out that they would be getting their loved one's remains back, and it was a huge relief. But she says she's not going to stop trying to help the dozens of other families that are in the same position she's in. Rebecca Zillian has had trouble dealing with the loss of her father. He died in June from leukemia. One of her biggest and newest tools in helping her grieve was a heart-shaped pendant she got in September. It was filled with what she thought were her father's ashes.
Being able to wear the necklace and have him, it was like almost like I could talk to him at any point, you know, like I did. I talked to the necklace all the time.
But at the beginning of this month, just weeks after her family gathered for a celebration of life and dispersed those remains, she found out it wasn't her father she'd been talking to in that necklace.
I kind of went numb again, kind of like I did when I first. And then I started thinking about all the other families, and I just got completely overwhelmed.
Zillian's family was one of nearly 100 families and counting who were given the wrong remains by Hines Funeral Home and Family Care Cremations. Sangamon County Coroner Jim Allman has spent the last week and a half calling families, telling them that they got the wrong remains.
Like they said, this isn't something they would ever have imagined would be possible. I just, at this point, don't have answers for them.
Zillian has found purpose in this incomprehensible situation she and her family are in. She started a support group for other victims on Facebook called Support for Those Affected by Hines Funeral Home Family Care Cremations.
I immediately seen the need for us to come together and to be able to support each other.
She says the group is used for coping, processing grief, and for answering questions. And it's open to anyone who has been impacted.
We actually have a local funeral home director and his wife that are in the group that have been wonderful and really helping with answering questions. And if I don't know, then I turn them to them.
Recently, Allman has gotten to give some families, like Zillian's, some good news.
We have returned 5 or 6 different cremains to their families already so far today.
And while that good news can be a relief, it does not eliminate the trauma her family has gone through this past week.
How can it not intensify? Like it's still so fresh. Like the death of him is still so fresh, and he was it was our everything.
And even though she has her dad back, she is not going to stop helping other families, and she is not going to stop seeking justice.
This changes nothing. I'm still here for every single one of you. I'm still in this fight, and I'm still not backing down. I am not backing down.
Now, we've reached out to Hines Funeral Home multiple times for comment, but we have not heard back. This investigation is being handled by multiple agencies now, both at the county and the state level, and so far, no charges, either criminal or civil, have been filed against Hines Funeral Home and Family Care Cremations. In 1996, 23-year-old Karen Hearn Slover was shot 7 times in the back of the head. Her body was found dismembered and stuffed in plastic bags on the shore of Lake Shelbyville. Her ex-husband, Michael Slover Jr., and his parents, Michael Sr. and Jeanette Slover, were found guilty of murdering her in 2002. But now, a 2,000-page petition filed in Macon County Court can be summed up by one of the first lines. The Slovers are innocent. The UIS Innocence Project is an organization that uses modern forensic testing to revisit and possibly exonerate people in old cases. It's representing the Slovers. In the petition, lawyers try to poke holes in the prosecution's argument that led to the conviction. During the trial, investigators relied on expert testimony to link concrete samples, buttons they say were from Hearn Slover's clothes, and even dog hair found on the duct tape in the plastic bags to link the 3 Slovers to the crime. The Innocence Project refers to all of those methods repeatedly as, quote, junk science.
I think there is serious doubt, given the advances in the law and the advances in forensic science, that evidence would be admissible at a trial.
Macon County State's Attorney Scott Reeder, who served as the state's attorney during the original trial, takes issue with that characterization.
They want to characterize it in a certain light. It's the science that was available to us at the time. That doesn't mean it was junk.
Urbana lawyer Steve Beckett joined the Innocence Project on the case in 2010, but he says the big breakthrough came in 2016 when a lawyer granted a request for forensic tests that weren't available at the time of the investigation.
There's a footprint on the Finley Bridge. There's duct tape on these bags that have never been forensically tested, and that those were really good investigative leads that, of course, were not available to law enforcement at the time.
Beckett says DNA tests on that information, quote, excludes the 3 Slovers and instead reveals DNA sets for 3 unidentified males. The Innocence Project filed that information and more with the Macon County Court. Now it is up to a judge to decide whether or not it is substantial enough to reconsider the case. Reeder says he is confident that their case will hold up.
I'm highly confident about the result. The correct result was reached. We'll just see what the newest development brings.
Baum's brother Norman currently lives in a group home in Clinton for people with developmental disabilities. At that facility, he receives care from direct support professionals. But the state is planning on cutting the number of hours that they will pay those workers to work. And Paul is worried about how that will affect his brother's care.
To think that what supports that he and his housemates do have could be cut. What does that look like? I don't know.
Starting April 1st, the state is planning on cutting the number of hours of care it funds by nearly 9% in these homes. The plan blindsided industry experts who are already dealing with a dwindling workforce and are constantly just trying to scrape by financially.
It puts people at a tremendous deficit, puts agencies at a tremendous deficit. And it could mean people losing services.
DHS presentations show that the 9% reduction in hours will lead to 90% of people with disabilities in these homes receiving less care. Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle say that the state needs to rethink its plan.
We need to see what it's going to actually do to an actual person in his or her home, how we are jeopardizing their safety and their independence.
This has literally, in some cases, potentially life or death consequences.
In 2020, a federal court mandated the state follow a study that gave a roadmap for how the state should properly fund these services. It included a plan for investing hundreds of millions of dollars to improve them. But the state is saying that this reduction in hours is also part of the implementation of the study's findings. But industry experts that I spoke with today said they were never under the impression that the study would result in less care.
We were not offered the opportunity to ask questions or receive much feedback as to how they came up with the numbers. It was basically presented as, here it is.